Hello, you fucking risible vermin. I hope you're all having a fucking fantastic day. I've had a reasonable day. Again, quite often say reasonable, fair, kind of like uneventful day, but not too bad. Not too bad. I went out on Section 17 leave from the hospital. I went to, where did I go? I can't even remember. I went to Primark, got some shit clothing to wear, and I've already got some coffee on it. Where else did I go? I've got the receipts over there. It's not like I'm obsessed with receipts or like anything, but sometimes I've kind of had the sneaking suspicion that I've been the victim of identity fraud. And a really easy way to make sure that you haven't been the victim of identity fraud is to give the police and the security services, if they should ever look, the opportunity to review CCTV, both in the street and closed circuit television within stores, to verify who you are. So if you think that somebody might be posing as you, which, as bizarre as it might sound, I have had those concerns in the past. I don't know how much I'm concerned about that at the moment, but being able to prove who you are and where you are is as kind of important as keeping a daily vlog so that 12 people can can see what you're up to. I went to Poundland and went to the bakehouse, got a nice Biscoff thing, which was like £4.25, which is not bad. It was a very nice piece of cake, I must say. Primark, I went to Greggs, and I went to Savers, and that was about that. I've got to buy some tobacco and some vapes. Probably going to get those in ordered from a delivery store, which will be nice. But yeah, nice day out on leave from the hospital. Had a nice phone call with a chap at the accommodation today. Hopefully I'll have that virtual tour soon, but it's not going to be today. It wasn't today in the end. And I might get to go there in person too, which means I get to see my little bro, which is nice. But on the shit side, probably not going to be out of hospital in time for my birthday, which is on the 28th of June. So I'm going to have to spend it in here, which I'm really not happy about, I have to say. It makes me feel really sad indeed. I can't quite put into words how sad that makes me feel, to be honest with you. But I don't have much of a social life anyway, so I'm not missing much. And it's great to be clean from drugs and alcohol. I haven't had a pint in months, since January, the last time I had a beer. So that's cool. That's cool. Without much further ado, let's take one of my phones. Which one's got battery? Not my Samsung. Well, it has, but not very much. And swipe onto Google like we always do for some current affairs. Let's swipe up, get it to refresh. I hope I'm not going to get done for copyright fraud for this. I don't think it is. I don't think it is fraudulent or infringing on somebody to read content which is openly available on Google News. That's kind of like a free content delivery platform, isn't it? I don't think that's. Is food inflation higher in Europe than in the UK? I'm not too sure, really. Maybe. I guess that's what the article 2 days ago from BBC News is about. I'm not going to read that. A Ukraine dam. Satellite images reveal that the Kahova canals are drying up. It's just that the concept and the futility of war is such a kind of an extrapolated thing, isn't it? Like, there isn't really any way to quantify it, or kind of when you want it to stop. I used to be really interested in geopolitics. I used to sort of pore over when the Iraq and Afghanistan war was going on. I almost went into like protest mode when I was about 25. I split up with my second sort of proper girlfriend, Phoebe. I went to go and my mate once said that I was occupying my mum's house. I kind of went home and I wouldn't claim any benefits, but I wouldn't pay any tax either. And I was just sitting on a sofa, kind of eating toast and smoking spliffs and sort of just just spending all day reading kind of like geopolitical articles and blogs and journals about, you know, the oil pipelines and stuff that run through the Middle East, and all of the kind of foreign interests that had, you know, occupied and signed off all of the kind of the diplomatic papers, and it comes out, diplomatic papers, what the fuck am I on about? My section papers, yeah, that's a bit more real and a bit more close to home and a bit more tangible. So I think, I was saying to some guys in the garden the other day, I mean, I think that it's kind of one of the things I've learned in life is that you've got to pick your, you know, like that shitty serenity prayer sort of thing that people have dribbling out of their gobs a lot of the time in places like this. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. You know, and we can't change anything, can't do anything about the satellite images of the Kakova Dam or canal drying up, as fucked up as that is, or climate change. Really, we can recycle, I suppose, and we can raise awareness about, you know, those struggling in Ukraine. But I mean, to stop the war is very, very difficult. I met a few guys. I met a guy who was quite senior at Stop the War Coalition once, a Christian lodge in Bromsgrove in about 2009 or 10, and we had a big chat in the evening, and he was like an older fellow, and he was. I learned a lot about the organisation, and I used to love Stop the War Coalition. I used to kind of like, I went to a big protest in 2011 in March in London. There was a huge kind of uprising, and I went and did lots of peaceful protest there, and there was lots of guys there with Stop the War Coalition placards, and I feel strongly about war. I hate war. I hate the idea of genocide. I kind of always had, and now I've kind of learned to focus on things you can sort of change. But I kind of can't change what's going on in here. Do you know what I mean? Like I think it's fucked up, right? You know, you don't actually have a right to get your section papers. So there's nothing in the Mental Health Act Code of Practice or in the Mental Health Act itself that says you have to be given your section papers within a certain time frame, right? So there isn't a kind of like, you know, you can be locked up without trial, kind of like indefinitely, and you can only see retroactively. The only thing that gives you a right to do it is a subject access request, or a right of access request. Now they're called after fucking GDPR, but even then, if they don't give it to you, all the ICO does is just like internally feed back, you know, one of those sort of like shitty complaint resolutions where they just say, yeah, thanks for your feedback, you know, sorry you've been shat on, we'll just kind of, you know, we'll just sort of like feed that back internally. Miracle materials, solar panels to finally enter production in fruit picking farms. I like prison, migrant worker tells peers. I used to know some girls that went woofing, fruit picking, and they said it was brilliant. They said it was a great way to travel the world, and they didn't say it was anything like a prison. But yeah, I can't find any more. Can't find any more good articles. Something that's sort of relevant to this situation, or me. What have we got? God, that's a little bit. Dozens of military personnel forced to evacuate accommodation after power outage at RAF helicopter base. You wouldn't think they'd have a power outage at a helicopter base, would you? I mean, you know, like speculatively, I would assume that they have some sort of backup power supply, or you can see my ring light, that doesn't look very good, does it? You'd think they'd have something, wouldn't you? I mean, not just that they'd run out of electricity and have to all bog off. Microsoft are going to create a quantum supercomputer. Yeah, I think quantum supercomputers obviously have already existed for a long time, but they don't release them to the open market because all the fuckheads would just use them to make bad things. Crisp sandwiches, All hail the return of the... That's great. The Guardian. Amelia Tate, thank you Amelia Tate for writing an article about crisp sandwiches. I mean, it's about as interesting as as me talking shit here, isn't it? Really, this is a bit like a crisp sandwich. I mean, some people like them, some people don't. Yeah, I mean, who knows? I'm not sure. Somebody left a comment, donuts 65 or whatever, 666. And they asked me to describe in detail what it's like, you know, being in a mental institution. And I didn't really want to cover that because I kind of already talk about that every day. Every day, this is at the moment me being in. If you want to know what it's about, you just kind of like watch that. It wasn't really very interesting, but thank you for leaving a comment. I do appreciate the feedback, and I do value your time. And you know, I'd like to cover some things that really matter, some really good human interest stories, things that matter to families and young people and parents, things that, you know, matter to me as well as a human being, because it's too easy to get embroiled in talking about being on a section and how it's really repressive and all the shit that's going on this ward, you know, and in my life, and you know, not being able to see my family and that sort of thing ever again. It feels like ever again. All my one family member that I've got left. Well, I do have other family. I've got extended family that we just don't talk very much. But I've got a brother who I speak to every day, and I love him more than anyone else in the universe. Connor, if you're watching, I love you, mate. You're a top bloke. You're an absolute diamond. You're one of the most intelligent, ingratiating, honest, hard-working, charismatic, and stupendous men who's ever lived. And I don't think anybody could have bricked the shit out of life like you have. So yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for everything, mate. You probably won't ever watch this though. Swiss Customs descend on List Art Fair's VIP opening. Well, there we are. Financial Times, 14 hours ago. I'd almost buy a copy of the Financial Times. I don't think I ever have. I have. I think I have. Just to look cool in a cafe. If you're in a cafe and you're wearing a shirt that's, you can buy a copy of the Financial Times, and other socialites will see the colour of the paper, the FT, and it's a bit like having a cravat or a good cigar. You know, the smell of a good cigar when you walk past a man outside a cafe. It's like, hello. So yeah, buy the Financial Times, guys. It's the best fashion accessory in the world, and you can find find out all about Swiss Customs, because art fairs obviously must have something dodgy there. Saturn's moon boosts hope for finding alien life nearby. Now you're talking. Aliens don't like us. They think we're plebs. It's because we are. If you could see me walking around this hospital, and even more, you know, in an evidential sense than this video, if you could see me walking around a hospital and kind of just see this as a kind of as an example with me as a Homo sapien male, you would understand why they don't rate this as the kind of, like, you know, the most advanced civilization in the world, and me as somebody that's been through, you know, an education system in one of the most advanced civilizations on our biosphere. It's kind of like a very poor example, if you'll pardon the phrase. But yes, that's sadly the way it is. Red Panda in the Times. Wow. lawyer translates the Bible into Doric over 17 years. I had no idea what that is. If anyone knows what Doric is, send me a voicemail. My brother keeps sending me voice messages on Messenger. I feel like a sort of an old fart, because I just don't like it. If you send somebody a message on Messenger, sending somebody a voicemail is just a voice. You know, it's like leaving somebody a voicemail, and I just find it bizarre. I just find it kind of like a really like I don't know if I'm just, you know, if I'm an old fart, but yeah, we're 15 minutes now, so I'll have to jog on. Well, there's a lady here that said she's had to pull her children out of a 38 grand a year private school because of the soaring cost of living. That's in the Daily Mail 19 hours ago. I went to a private school. It's called Sands School in Ashburton. It's a fucking excellent school for the right child or the right young adult who can manage their education and has got the emotional maturity and the communitarian sense of value and the kind of aspirational personal goal-setting ideals to be able to manage their own education and cohesively adapt and evolve with the other students. It's a fantastic system. It's democratically run. I don't know how much it cost. It's a bit like asking about how much your Christmas present cost, but I didn't. I think I did find out. It's not as much as some private schools, but it is very expensive. But it's the reason why I'm got a record-breaking IQ, but come across as have you seen Family Guy? Right, Family Guy. There's the character in Family Guy that has hair a bit like mine and a sort of cross eye a bit like mine. That kind of like That's how I come across. But actually, I'm kind of quite bright, and it's because I went to that school, because it helped me to grow as a person and helped me to kind of get my sort of confidence and my kind of like self-worth and you know, I don't know if confidence and self-worth, those aren't really, self-belief, you know, I had self-belief. I was in an environment where I was kind of like empowered and felt valued, and people listened to us and they valued what we had to say, and we were able to shape our environment. You know, you were able to go to a meeting, everything's done through a meeting at the school, so a student's vote is worth the same as a teacher's vote, and you can shape the school. And that made a huge amount of difference, but I wouldn't be surprised if they lose pupils. You know, most of them were struggling hippies. Most of the parents were struggling hippies. They weren't middle class. Some of them were middle class, but most of them were kind of all very ordinary working class people who were really struggling with their kind of, you know, parents' money to send their kids to these schools. And they would, you know, you'd go around to the kids' homes after school and it would be like beans on toast for tea. Do you know what I mean? And like hippies with kind of like, you know, organic pulses on their jumper coming to pick up their kids in a banged out Fiesta. You know, it was it's very you know, it wasn't like boater hats and kind of, you know, it wasn't that sort of crew. But hopefully, if anyone knows any educational charities, get them to phone Sand School and tell them, Sand School in Ashburton, it's a very good school, tell them to stop everybody from losing their educational funding. I had a bursary from a charity when I was there. It really helped me, but I'm going to have to make this the last. It's 1937 on the 22nd of the 6th, 2023, and the Bank of England could spring an interest rate jumbo hike to stop the wage price spiral. Evening Standard. I watched Mate Boy earlier on talking in a video about the interest rate hike, and I thought, what a terrible job to have to do. But you've had to watch me for 19 minutes, so I've still not had my section papers. Don't know what's going on with my housing. Got to wait another week or so probably till I hear anything. So I'm going to be in hospital for a little bit longer, and I'm not allowed to record ward rounds, and I'm not going to, because they've told me I'm not allowed, and they'll just confiscate my phones if I do. So I can't make informed decisions or retain the information I'm given in the ward rounds, or evaluate the information at my leisure, or have accountability for any of the decisions that are made if they happen to be malfeasant or evidential of malpractice, which is a contravention I covered in another video. Please watch my video, my mental health, World Mental Health Day special. And yeah, I won't waste any more of your time. Join me again tomorrow, and leave a comment. Tell me about what you'd like me to talk about. I'm here, I'm all ears. And thank you, sorry, and goodbye.